Alright guys, shush. Just try and listen in here to the Champions League draw, okay?
2031. And first
Right.
up, we start with the pot 18s.
Group A. Surely we can't be in Group A or B again. Surely
not. The defending champions, Cashmere Technical, moving on to Group B.
What the?
There's a party in the streets and the city's on fire.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 68 of the New Zealand Builder Nation here on Shaun Does FM with both the All Whites and with Cashmere Technical. And coming up today, gonna start, I believe, our 4th season here at Cashmere Technical. Gonna do a transfer roundup before we make our way through the group stages of the OFC Champions League for 2031, and hopefully also we should be able to bring you guys the draws for the quarters and the semis as well. So if you're looking forward to that coming up in today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But at the end of last week, we took on Australia in the Soccer Ashes and also finished off the season here with the grand final of the National League with Cashmere Technical against Western Suburbs. So if you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner as we show you guys quite a few players coming off contract at the end of that season. It does mean we've done a fair bit of transfer work going into this new season with quite a few of those players previously having joined us back when we were a professional club. Of course, these days we are only semi-professional, so first things first, a transfer roundup, and highlighting the transfers in and out on both the left and the right hand side. Some of that value is included from last season. It does still include a lot of the transfers that we did do, but still made a fair bit of profit in this transfer window, and we're going to run through it in terms of chronological order. First up, the first thing we actually did going into this season was something we did halfway through last season, didn't actually realise it wouldn't kick in until this season, but we signed on loan from Arsenal a young striker in Alex Moore. He's definitely starting for us. The reason that we have got him here to Cashmere Technical, there's two reasons. One, pretty good, and for some reason Arsenal have sent him here with no wage needed, but the main reason, he's partly New Zealand. Hopefully spending some time here might mean he might want to play for the All Whites instead of England. Should be available because he's got no youth caps for England, but currently would prefer to play for them because of their higher stature in the world game. But to be fair, these days, not too far behind them in terms of the All Whites, say not too far. 41st these days. We've dropped down the rankings a little bit, seeing as we haven't been playing while some other tournaments have been going on. But Alex Moore should do a pretty good job for us, albeit a bit hard to tell, seeing as he hasn't played in the Premier League over at Arsenal. But he should be a very, very good striker coming in here at Cashmere Technical. So a good pick up there, especially if we can get him to play for the All Whites. Off the back of that, also coming in on New Year's Day, Mohamed Reda. Now, to be fair, we did sign a lot of players under 20 who have been capped at youth level and who were available on a free transfer. This is one from Denmark who can play left wing, but expect a lot of these signings in this window that we have just done, mainly because we've got next to no one in the under 20s, because our youth intakes here so far have been absolutely toilet. But Mohamed Reda is someone that we have signed previously, spent some time at Runders before B93 over in his homeland. Hopefully he'll end up being a decent player for us in the future, and also getting those type of players here so early does mean they'll be younger when they do qualify for the national team. And as well as that, we did bring in as an extra option in the deep line playmaker role from the Coastal Spirit, one of our Canterbury region rivals here at Cashmere Technical, Sam Clark, 4K. He looks relatively promising and does have some pretty decent attributes, especially in terms of mentals. Did think it was worth the punt there at 4K to bring him in from the Coastal Spirit. The 17-year-old Sam Clark does come in for some reason, doesn't have a face shoot. Hopefully that will get sorted out the next time that I do that. We'll get our youth intake come the end of the season. But Sam Clark we did spend a little bit of money on, but did think it's worth it for a young, promising 17-year-old Sam Clark. He joined us for a fee. And other stuff that did happen on New Year's Day, Alessandro Lapane left. He was in our B team late last year after we did sign Tristan Turner. He went to APIA Leichhardt over in Sydney, I believe that is. Did a decent job for us as the backup to Dirty Radom, but in the end wasn't getting too much football here at Cashmere Technical, and we let him go on a free. Pretty good season in 2028-29, one of the first ones after we did come here, but off the back of that, did get relegated to a backup player, and then last season played for the B team in the mainland Premier Divisions these days. He is at APIA Leichhardt over in the National Second Division, to be fair, the division which is below the A-League, so not a bad move there for Alessandro Lapane. Also a Aristide Equella, let go of him on a free. We brought him in a couple of years ago because Cullen Elliott was out for a fair while with an injury at right back, and he has gone to Melbourne City after being on loan at the Brisbane Roar. The last few seasons didn't play much for us, so don't think we'll miss too much there. Should actually help us in terms of getting rid of some weight. So he's gone. And also we got rid a little bit later of Pierre Piscini. He's gone back to Brazil to Figueirense. He was a young player who spent all his time here in the B team and in the under-20s. So got rid of a few fringe players there, early stages of the transfer window. Also doesn't pop up here, but we did let go. We'll just see if it pops up now. Of some players, because we did not renew their contract: Shaun Stride, Inchingase, Julian Pike, Damian Dominguez, but most notably, Gil Paquette, as was suggested. That happened because he was Angolan, but for some reason now has actually changed his nationality to Sao Tome and Principe. Did have to check what nation that was, even from the description up there. That does seem a little bit weird. Those guys, 181st in the world. We'll just check and see where Angola were, because he did get one cap for those guys and score 2 goals. They're 54th in the world. That's a really, really weird move off the back of a debut where he did score 2 goals, so maybe could have actually got Gil Paquette to switch to the All Whites, which now makes me think maybe I should have kept him, but because of that cap for Angola, I did think might be a bit hard to make him turn. As it turned out, probably not, but Gil Paquette, he is no longer here. Those are the players that we did let go of on a free transfer. To be fair, most of them were out on loan last season. Julian Pike was a decent squad option, seeing as he could play both right back and left back, but these days, current ability and potential was not too great. So we let go of those players on a free transfer, but going back to the transfers that we did for actual money, and also letting go of people on a free because they were contracted by the club. Next up, we did let go kind of reluctantly of Justin Keat. We did also suggest this might be the case now that the transfer window did open up for the MLS clubs. Our captain from last season has gone to the San Jose Earthquakes. Quite a fitting move from a Christchurch team to a team called the Earthquakes, but for £50,000, which does seem pretty cheap for an international player. But that was his release clause, so couldn't do too much about that one, to be fair. Getting paid a lot more over there at San Jose, albeit not that much more for a player who is a starter for us with the All Whites, but he did a good job in a couple of seasons at Cashmere Tech. He played 28 games in the Southern/National League and did pick up 9 goals, but our captain has left us, so it definitely means we've had to strengthen in that right wing spot, as I suggested might be the case. Also leaving us later on in the window was Sam Brown, our backup central attacking midfielder from last season. The Redcliffe Waves, they did come in for him for a fee of £7,500. The reason we decided to let him go is a younger option who was better was available from Nelson Suburbs. So those were the players that we let go of. Now switching back to the players that we did bring in, because there's quite a few of them. First up, Christian Benitez. This is one of our under-20 players, and this should work out quite well because we did need a couple. That's one of the reasons actually that Alex Moore loan works out quite well for us, seeing as we had no first-team quality players under 20 years old going into this season. Christian Benitez is one of those. He replaces Ahmed Shusha as the starting left winger, so it does mean got a couple now foreign left wing options, but he is Paraguayan, 19 years old, formerly of Ljubljana. He should do a decent job for us on that left wing, just a touch better than Ahmed Shusha. Also coming in, we do have Michael Nielsen. To be fair, I thought he'd just be a player who'd sit in our under-20s. To be fair, a little bit better than Teo Atema as a ball wing midfielder, so you might see him in the mix in the first team, especially during the course of this OFC Champions League, because we did sign someone else in that position. They came in though a bit too late to be registered for the Champions League, but he is an under-19 Norwegian international that we did pinch off of Sarpsborg 08, so another youngster that we do bring in here at Cashmere Tech, as is the case for Zaire Malay, a central attacking midfielder. Also, you might see a bit of him in terms of the OFC Champions League, formerly of the Portland Timbers. That guy, though, not as much potential as I was hoping. Sadio Diabate, another under-20 player who comes in from Mali, not capped at youth level, but does have some decent potential, does the former stud Malian man. Also coming to us here at Cashmere Technical, Luis Rodriguez, he is a bit more of a first-team option, should be the backup to our new first-choice right-winger. He's one of the players that we have brought in with the departures of both Paquette and Justin Keat, 2 stars current ability and 4.5 stars potential for the man who made 5 appearances for Independiente del Valle. So he's a player who should be floating in and around the squad if we can fit that many foreign players in our team. And coming in is the new first choice right winger on a free, Riley Rogers, who is an Australian striker but can play right wing and did look a little bit too good to not be picking up. We are paying him a wage of £3.6 thousand a week, probably one of the more expensive buys we have got in terms of the wage budget, but thankfully have been able to keep hold of a lot of players, as you might have noticed by the fact haven't released too many and got them here on non-contracts, which does mean paying them a lot less than we were back when we were a professional club. So the man who did make 134 appearances for the Marconi Stallions is now our first choice right winger, even though he's probably a bit better suited as a striker, but he should do a job for us this season, and playing as an inside forward should be a pretty suitable situation there for Riley Rogers. And also coming in, these players a bit too late to be registered for the Champions League squad. But first up, Jamie Young. He was the guy coming in to replace Sam Brown from Nelson Suburbs for £7,000. Decent potential, nothing too special, but we make a little bit of money on that transfer and only paying him £100 a week. Did play 21 times for Nelson Suburbs and pick up 4 goals. So a decent squad player who is under the age of 20. That was something, as I said a few times now, that we did desperately need. And also coming in, a new first choice ball wing midfielder, which does mean that Aiki Tsukamoto is now a bench player. And we could just squeeze in an extra foreigner, and that is Marcus Vinicius. He does come in to usurp Aiki Tsukamoto, 3.5 star current ability and 4.5 star potential there for the Brazilian, 21 years old, but seeing as he was better than Tsukamoto, thought it would be a decent idea to pick him up. And also actually forgot a transfer that we made earlier. This one was a bit of a sneaky one. We've got Mateus from the Brazil under-20s, and we picked him up on a free £750 a week. He'll be the backup to Xavier Smith at left back, albeit that might mean if he plays, a bit of a shuffle up in terms of our first choice 11, because it does mean we'd have too many foreigners. Nearly got a beer player from the under-20s who was a deep line playmaker, but unfortunately Sydney FC noticed we got him on trial, so of course they found a way to sign him, which was a bit frustrating. Not too sure how Sydney FC know who we're trialling here at Cashmere Technical, but I think a decent pickup there. A high potential player currently in the Brazilian under-20 squad is registered for the Champions League, but will miss this first game because he is away with the Brazil under-20. So quite a few transfers going into this new season, as I suggested would be the case come the end of last week. In terms of the finances, our wages now, we're paying around the £29,000 to £30,000 mark a week, so that's actually a lot lower than we were doing last season, and we've got a much bigger squad as well, so I think that works. Our finances still not too good, but hopefully paying less wages, that will help in the transfer budget. Not too great. We've been sliding a lot of that over into the scouting budget to hopefully keep an eye on some good young promising players who are coming through or halfway through the season, where I dare say some better players might be available once they get released by those big clubs up in Europe. So that's what we've done in terms of transfers, still rated as the best team in all competitions, and hopefully that will prove to be the case here as we take part in the Champions League. We yet again, we've been drawn in Group A or B. This time Group A, so it does mean we've just had one game in pre-season, took on the under-20s and beat them 7-2. Thankfully, to get some minutes into a couple of our new boys to get them a little bit match sharp going into this first game of the group stage, which we will show you guys, and then we'll see if we need to do much more off the back of that, and also just to get them used to how we play here at Cashmere Technical. And also something I didn't mention at the end of last week, the board actually are in the process of getting a new stadium built. Not too sure how they're able to do that considering the financial situation here at Cashmere Technical. But apparently we are selling out most of our games at the GIMME piece. They are looking for a site to build a stadium in Christchurch. So we'll see what that does to the finances. That could actually be a little bit of a problem, but hopefully might actually end up in the future bringing a bit more money into the club and maybe helping us get back to being professional, especially if in a couple of years' time we can qualify for the Club World Cup. I think next year is the year where we do need to win the OFC Champions League. I think it's the year before the Club World Cup does actually take place, but we are in Group A there. Vanuatu, a team that we took on in one of our previous OFC Champions League campaigns from the Solomon Islands, but the new teams we're taking on are Blue Camels from Papua New Guinea, and the team will play first up Tapuji Emir out of Vanuatu. All these teams we should be beating and making our way through pretty comfortably to the quarterfinals, you'd imagine, until we take on the other New Zealand team who are Western Suburbs. And obviously, because it always happens with us here at Cashmere Technical, once we make our way through the other groups, they are down there in Group C, so get another couple of weeks of pre-season compared to us. But hopefully that won't prove too much of a difference maker. We just still get through this group fairly comfortably, albeit last time we did this many transfers going into an OFC Champions League. We did struggle just a little bit to get out of our group, but hopefully this time around it won't be the case. Even though Lorenzo Johnson picked up an injury in that game we played against the under-20s, he's nearly back from it, but won't be risked for this first game with a twisted knee. So it does mean this is what we're going with for this first game of the season. There's no foreign restrictions in the Champions League, so it does mean we can put out our best 11 and also no under-20 restrictions either, albeit we'd be fitting those with both Alex Moore and Christian Benitez starting. But that's our first choice 11, apart from the fact that Schuster's playing Cam instead of Janssen, and of course a extended bench considering that this is the Champions League. But hopefully we can get off here to a good start to this new season, even though technically haven't quite ticked over into it yet, as we take on Tapuji Emir in our first game of the Champions League group stage. And just stopping in briefly with the team sheets again for this first game of the group stage, because I did make a mistake before, because we have got Tsukamoto starting in that bowling midfield role, seeing as Vinicius did get here too late to be registered for the competition, but Tapuji Emir are going with a 4-2-3-1 as well. Hopefully get off to a good start here and show that we should be winning these games a bit more comfortably with our gegenpress. And only 40 seconds into this game, we get the first highlight of it, where of course are in the yellow with the blue shorts, the opposition are in the all blue, albeit that's a poor pass there, and a chance here for the Vanuatu team to try and get us on the counter-attack, but thankfully we win that one back. And Ollie McGoldrick, not that far away these days from becoming an all-whites option once the paperwork does come through, but he was on the ball, and we eventually play it forward, eventually get over the top there for the Arsenal man, and Alex Moore square that one. Looking for Luis Enrique, will pick up an assist with his first competitive touch here at Cashmere Technical. Alex Moore could be a big cheat code for us this season here at the club. The main reason he is here, we want to get him to be eligible for the All Whites. Whether we can do that, we'll see, but hopefully can convince him to play for us instead of England because of travel reasons or something like that. But a good start there from the Arsenal man, picks up an assist and sets up Luis Enrique. And a few minutes off the back of that, there is a throw in there to the opposition, but thankfully they play that one too deep, and McGoldrick is there to tidy things up. Victor Ross plays that for Tsukamoto, and now Riley Rogers will spray this out to the left-hand side. Shusha linking up well there with young Christian Benitez. Plays that one across the face of goal. Might have been Alex Moore here who did get brought down. Indeed, it was the case, but Riley Rogers follows up well there at the far post like a good striker. Makes it 2-0 after only 3 minutes, and this could be a long day at the office for our opposition from Vanuatu. Benitez just gets in behind. They're ganging up on Moore, but Rogers is there to poke that one home, and we're 2-0 up early. And just past the 10-minute mark, now the next highlight of this game, a free kick to Tsukamoto. It was a very audacious effort, that one from that far out, but it's an absolute stunner. Maybe should be keeping him in the first team. It will be the case anyway, early stages of the season with the Champions League, but that is an absolute stunner of a free kick to get it past Ronnie and make it 3-0. And just shy of the 20-minute mark, we get this highlight in this game so far. 3 highlights for 3 goals. We'll see if this game ends up being a bit of goal rush and maybe can skip through the rest of the group stage like I thought would be the case. in the first couple of seasons here at Cashmere Technical once we did qualify for the Champions League. But to be fair, that first season did kind of shake me a bit in terms of how we got on in this competition. That's the reason last season I didn't make too many transfers going in to that Champions League, which we did win. But now we are on the attack yet again. Shusha plays that one back to Benitez, floats that far post for Alex Moore. There's his first competitive goal here at Cashmere Technical, and we are absolutely spanking here this team out of Vanuatu 4-0, and not even 20 minutes in. This is a lot better than what we were doing with the vertical tiki-taka. Looks like a higher tempo system is going to work a bit better here in Oceania. 4-0 up, just shy of the 20-minute mark. And only a few minutes on from that fourth goal, now it's a free kick here to Tapuji Amira, and they do take this one short. We'll see how long they keep hold of the ball, and if this is actually a highlight in their favour so far. We've absolutely been thrashing them in this game. They played it one over the top, but Louis Enrique, he can intercept it. Now McGoldrick plays it for Tsukamoto, Duty Radom up to Moore, and now it goes out there to Christian Benitez, who I believe got that assist for that first goal from Alex Moore. And it's the same case again. He heads that one into the ground to get it past Ronnie. 5-0, and we're not even halfway through the first half. This could be a very long game, but hopefully shows we're going to be quite dominant these days with Cashmere Technical, especially in this OFC Champions League. Alex Moore on a hat-trick on debut as we go 5-0 in front. And the highlights continue to flow here, which might be unfortunate for Tabuja Amiri, but we are now back on the ball off the back of that goal kick. Rogers plays it out for Louis Enrique, who starts to bomb forward down that right-hand side. Squares that one nicely for Christian Benitez. He's set up a couple of goals here in his competitive debut. Now he'll pick one up, and this is just complete one-way traffic. The group stage of this competition might be about to get a bit too easy for us, it looks like, here with the Gegenpress, even though some of these players are still learning and getting through their pre-season. We're wiping the floor here with our opposition and make it 6-0. And we go forward to the half-hour mark for our next highlight of this game. To be fair, should probably just commentate this entire game the way it's going. Every highlight so far, I believe, has resulted in a goal, and they give the ball back to us there down the left-hand side. Our right Hawkins plays that one out to Tsukamoto, goes back there to Victoros, and now Louis Enrique is back on the ball off the back of the assist for that first goal to Christian Benitez. Now starts to creep his way forward into the final third. Floats this one far post. The goalkeeper, and Ronnie drops that one straight onto the foot of Christian Benitez, and he makes it a double, and 7-0 with still about 15 minutes left in this first half. This game is completely over already, and maybe this is going to be the worst team that we play in the Champions League this season. You'd hope so anyway, but it is looking like we're going to get our way through this group stage fairly comfortably this time around. 7-0 after only half an hour, 15 shots overall, 10 on target. It's an absolute thrashing now. It's a corner, and Georgios Victoros near post will leap like a salmon and put that one home. 8-0 with still about 12 minutes left in this first half. This is going to end up being goal rush this episode, because honestly, this game already looking like it might take a farewell. If it keeps up, we could win this one 24-0, which is actually looking a bit more like a cricket score instead of a rugby score. That's showing you just how dominant we have been so far in this game. And the highlight now at the 36-minute mark, and Benitez, who all of a sudden is on a hat-trick, plays that one in to Shusha. His shot comes off the post, but poor old Ronnie is just laying there like a dead body, and Shusha puts it past him into the bottom right corner. 9-0 with still about 10 minutes left in the first half. We are just destroying this team here. We look a class above, albeit not too sure how good this opposition is, especially compared to teams we'll take on later in the tournament, in particular Western Suburbs, off the back of them pushing us a little bit in that final end of last week, albeit that was partly due to the fact that we gave away 2 penalties inside the first 10 minutes. They didn't actually score from open play, but we did make that a little bit trickier than it needed to be. But we're looking very sharp here, early stages of the season, with our new signings. Now Louis Enrique will fizz that one to the mixer for Shusha. Benitez then squares it back there, I think, for Alex Moore, but unfortunately that shot does get blocked. So for the first time a highlight we actually don't score from. Only a few minutes later, it's a corner here in our favour. We take it short. Duty Radom plays that one back to Ahmed Shusha, and that shot goes just over the bar. Ronnie tries to save it, doesn't, but thankfully for him, didn't need to. We've got 3 minutes of added time, and mercifully here for Tapuji Amire, they can go into half-time 9-0 down. Let's see in the second half if we can make it more, albeit before we actually get into the second half, might take this opportunity to take off some of our key players and bring on some guys who might need some game time. As you can see, still quite a few B team players who are on those red thumbs down, considering only the one preseason game we did have coming in to this tournament. We'll take off Riley Rogers for Louis Rodriguez, give him a debut, seeing as he's one of the attackers not on a hat-trick. Also, we'll bring on young Michael Nielsen for Tsukamoto off the back of that good free kick he scored. I think our third goal in that first half. Cullen Elliott, he can come on for Louis Enrique. Also, let's just see who else might be worth bringing on here for the second half. Both our backup centre-backs do have those red thumbs down. And of course, Connor Kerwin, under 20 player, so it could actually prove quite useful for us this season here at Cashmere Tech. So we'll bring him on for McGoldrick's. Quite a few changes there going in to the second half, but we can do it because we're 9-0 up. And it looks like the thrashing might continue here in the second half, only a few minutes into it, and the highlight starts here with a goal kick in our favour. So maybe the opposition were actually briefly on the attack early stages, but already we make our way into their half. Ahmed Shusha makes his way inside the box, squares that one wonderfully for Alex Moore, top left corner, and the Englishman / New Zealander, hopefully, as I said, can now convince him to play for the All Whites. That was the main reason for this loan, but he puts it home to mark his debut with a hat-trick, and that makes it 10-0 at the 48-minute mark. And only a few minutes off the back of that one, now we've got a throw in here just inside of our own half, so the action here continues off the back of that frantic first half. Doesn't look like here we're going to slow down just yet, so the scoreline could get very, very ugly and could potentially be a record here in the OFC Champions League, albeit the Tapuji Amire do play a nice ball over the top, but unfortunately for them, a bit too much on it, and Hawkins can come near the edge of his box and claim it, rolls it out there, and now Victor Ross eventually plays that one out to Cullen Elliott, the fringe all-white these days, with Nico Kerwin having retired. Now Shusha starts to cut inside, plays the ball forward there for Alex Moore. He goes down, and it's a penalty. That looks like it was a bit of a soft one there, maybe a bit of diving he's learnt there from the Northern Hemisphere, and Christian Benitez with a very cheeky penalty, straight down the middle with a chip, and he'll complete this hat-trick, 11-0, very early in the second half.
Yeah.
And just past the hour mark, things did slow down a little bit off the back of that 11th goal, but now Cullen Elliott's going to be forced from the field here with an injury. Thankfully, still got Tomislav Barisic on the bench, but that will be our final substitution as we are 11-0 in front. And shortly off the back of that last sub that we do make, now we're actually down the other end here. Could be a chance for the opposition to grab a goal back and try and take some pride out of this game. They go close, but unfortunately for them, that one goes just over the bar. We are still 11-0 in front, almost made the scoreboard there look like an emergency phone line number, but now we're back on the attack. Rodriguez inside the box, takes on a shot there from a tight angle, and to be fair, Ronnie, for the first time in this game, I think, comes up with a save, so fair play to him. Now we've got the corner, which Alex Moore, he will take, tries to put this one near post, it gets saved, but then falls to Connor Kerwin, who puts that one away. To be fair to Ronnie, bit harsh on him there. He's made 2 saves, his defenders just don't help him out, and Connor Kerwin makes it 12-0. And somewhat disappointingly, things are actually quieting down quite a bit off the back of that 12th goal, the dozen that we have picked up here at the Lawson Tama Stadium. Pretty sure that we'd already done a bus trip to this ground. I'm starting to lose track of the grounds that we're actually covering off on the bus trips. Should have made a list considering we're getting close to the 69 episode mark, but now it's another goal because Alex Moore will pick up a 4th yet again. Christian Benitez with an assist. Looks like those two, the youngsters, are going to link up quite well for us down that left-hand side of ours, but that now makes it 13-0, make it a baker's dozen. This is an absolute thrashing. Surely this would be a record in the OFC Champions League, at least in terms of so far in the save. I'm very sure it's a record for us here at Cashmere Technical since I've been in charge, but it's been complete one-way traffic. To be fair, actually doing our XG, which is a bit surprising. 8.49 might be the highest XG I've ever seen in a serious game, but we win our first game of the OFC Champions League group stage 13-0. I think now we can skip forward through the rest of the group stage, recap you guys on the results, because it looks like we're going to get through this pretty safely this time around and come back with the recap and also the draws for the quarters and the semi-finals. So we had an absolute pumping there in our first game of the Champions League group stage, and off the back of that gone forward quite a bit. This was the second game that we did play, this one back at the GMP. We took on Vaniagu. We played these guys, I think it was in our first season in the OFC Champions League, and this time pick up, I believe, a more convincing win, 6-1. Not quite as impressive as that first game, but it did take the chance to rotate a bit more in these next couple. They grabbed a goal back in the second half, but Rodriguez with a hat-trick, and also goals to Louis Henrique, de Hotman de Villiers, and Michael James Gilbert do mean we picked up a 6-1 win, which did guarantee our path into the quarterfinals. And off the back of that, we went back to the Lawson Tama Stadium to take on the Blue Kummels from Papua New Guinea, and this time it was a 5-0 win. Nathan Walker with a double, Al Ghazali, Connor Kerwin, and de Hotman de Villiers grabbed a goal in the second half before he went off the field. So 3 very comfortable wins for us there in the group stages of the OFC Champions League. Of course, this is the first time we've used the Gegenpress at the Champions League. Looks like it will do the job that we wanted the vertical tiki-taka to be doing for us. That means in terms of the group, we go through very comfortably with a plus 23 goal differential. Vaniagu beat the other two teams they took on in the group, so they also go through. Tupushi Mire, surprisingly, despite that goal differential, actually finished third because they got the better of the Blue Kummels. In Group B, Kossa win the group, winning all 3 of their games. The Solomon Island team and AS Magenta, they go through as well from New Caledonia. Group C, Western Suburbs, as you'd expect, albeit not nearly as impressive in terms of their goal differential, but they go for unbeaten, and AS Venus from Tahiti, they also go through to the knockouts. And Group D, Horizon Parfo win that one from New Caledonia with a perfect record, and AS Stefana go through as the second place team. To be fair, I think both of those teams are teams that we have played before at some stage during this OFC Champions League. So those are the teams who have made their way through to the knockouts, and now it's time for us to do the draw for the quarterfinal and also the semi-final. We'll see when we get to take on Western Suburbs, because really that is the game that is going to be pretty crucial in us trying to pick up this Champions League for a second year in a row. Cashmere Tech, the first team out of the hat, and we are going to be taking on AS Venus from Tahiti, so that should be pretty safe. The VP quarterfinal should always have been pretty safe. I'm pretty sure that the top ranked team in the group can't play one of the other top ranked teams. Just seeing here who Western Suburbs get. They'll get Vaniagu, so it looks like we're each playing the team that finished second in our respective groups, so maybe that means we could take each other on in the semi-final, as was the case last season. I think that actually might suit us more. Take on the New Zealand team over 2 legs instead of in a one-off game. Let's see if that's going to be the case. First up, Horizon Parfo or AS Magenta. They will take on Western Suburbs or Vaniagu. So it's looking at early stages like an all-New Zealand clash in the final here of the OFC Champions League, because provided we get past AS Venus in the quarterfinals, we'll take on one of Kossa or AS Stefana in the semis. But that will do it for today's episode. Absolutely walked our way there through the group stages of the OFC Champions League, and also did a bit of a recap there of all of the transfers that we did do going into this new season. If you enjoyed this one, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. Now, I'll come back tomorrow. To be fair, looking like the OFC Champions League this season might not be too interesting until we get to the final. We do have, I believe, coming up once I take over into the new season, the Charity Cup coming up as our first game, but as of now, not actually too sure who we take on in that. And off the back of that, we do play the first leg of the quarterfinal. In between those 2 games, though, we do have some friendlies with the All Whites. We'll be taking on both Ecuador and Tunisia. So we'll actually come back tomorrow and do a bit of a split episode for number 69, take on one of Ecuador or Tunisia, and pair that up with the first leg of that OFC Champions League quarterfinal, just to absolutely make sure we'll be going through to these semis. But you'd imagine that would be the case. So until tomorrow for episode 69 with both an All Whites game and a Cashmere Tech one, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.